to take a moment. That was awesome. So, I'm just completely honored to be here today to talk about my colleague, my mentor, my friend, Marty Craven. I've known Marty, I knew him for many, many years. And when I started to think about Marty and his life, a common theme came to me, and that was service. I know a lot of you are thinking Chardonnay, Diet Pepsi, no, service. So I'm going to attempt to describe Marty's service in 3 little stories. There's many areas of service that Marty was involved in, but I'm just going to cover 3 of them. First was his professional service, and that's where I first got to know Marty as a brand new dentist, 1979, coming back home to practice with my brother Lee. Marty was an established oral surgeon with Elmer Brown. Marty was already involved in the local dental society at that time. So I really enjoyed my collaboration and learning from Marty. It was wonderful. And Marty, as an oral surgeon, how can I put it? He was efficient, I think, is the word I would use. I talked to another dentist the other day, and he described one of his patients that he referred to Marty to have a few teeth taken out. And this patient reported that afterwards, he said, I told Dr. Craven, I said, you took out 6 teeth, you charged me $1,000, and it only took you 10 minutes. Whereupon Marty immediately replied, well, next time I'll do it slower. That was Marty. So Marty continued his service with the Central Coast Dental Society. One of the best things he and my brother Lee did was they collaborated together, hired the first ever executive director for the Central Coast Dental Society, Lori Torgerson, who about 40 years later remains the only executive director of Central Coast Dental Society. So we owe Marty and my brother Lee a debt of gratitude for that. Marty went through all the chairs, all the committees of the Dental Society, led to being president of the Central Coast Dental Society and then trustee to the California Dental Association. From that point, as you've heard, he went through all the chairs of California Dental Association, eventually being elected president of CDA. First ever president of CDA from the Central Coast. It was amazing. And he was amazing to watch work too, because I went to several meetings, and of course there was always, Diet Pepsi or a iced tea on the podium wherever Marty was leading the meeting from. And he developed quite a reputation. His leadership style and humor, really brought a lot to Sacramento. I even saw him working while he was getting his teeth cleaned. He was in our office one day, in the chair of our hygienist, Julie Dodson, getting his teeth cleaned on a conference call back to Sacramento. And Julie said, I knew whenever they were taking a vote, because Marty would go, aye. And he never stopped. He was always very efficient, always working, always doing great things for the state, for all of us dentists. It was a wonderful service to us. It was about that time when he was going through the chairs at CDA that the second phase of the service that I want to talk about with Marty, and that's, you've already heard about, his service to the country. And part of that is something you also heard about today, is one of the afflictions that Marty had, and that was shopping. And you heard that he was a killer shopper, loved bargains. And the best bargain to be had was at the PX, at the military base, the post exchange. You heard that, and Marty lived that. The problem was that you had to be active duty military or in the reserves. Well, guess what? Marty was a reservist, so that meant one day a month, he'd go down to Vandenberg, take out a couple of teeth in the morning, and then go to the PX. It was just the ideal job for him. He loved it. Until Saddam Hussein decided to invade Kuwait. And then Uncle Sam decided, no, Marty, we want you to be back on active duty. And you heard from his nephew that, he went to Fort Ord. And we all kind of thought, I think Marty thought, that he was just going going to stay in Fort Ord. No big deal. Well, next thing you know, he's in a tent in the desert in Saudi Arabia, and he's no longer Dr. Craven, he's Colonel Craven. So, quite the experience. I just hope all the shopping was worth it. So his third area of service, and really why I'm here today, is his service to community. You've heard from the Kiwanis members about all that he did for the Kiwanis Club. And I'm here to talk about his service to the Tolosa Children's Dental Center. Marty came on board the Tolosa Children's Dental Center a couple of years after it opened. It opened as La Clínica de Tolosa back in 2003. And Marty joined the board. And not long after he joined the board, our founder, Dr. Jack Pedersen, stepped down from